Welcome to my channel briefing on Bravo. Dorit Kemsley revealed that Paul P.K. Kemsley declared he wanted a divorce on Season 14, Episode 6 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But where do the two stand today? She answered this very question on the January 7 episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show. We stand in exactly the same place we were in the beginning. There's been movement, but it's just not forward. It's left to right, Dorit explained. I'd love to go forward, and I'm consistently trying to advocate for that. However, she noted that PK's newfound sobriety makes the situation more complicated. From what I've understood and learned, that's a journey. For PK, it's been a long time abusing alcohol. He was pouring alcohol on a lot of feelings, and now he doesn't have that privilege, Dorit continued. So there's a lot of feelings, and I think that we can't snap into a place where we fit, because the work that needs to be done is never going to go away unless we do the work. Does Dorit plan to file for divorce from PK? Dorit said on the RHOBH after show that she's not sure what the future holds for her and PK. We'll see. Ask me in another 6 months, she added. Hopefully I have a better answer. The latest on Dorit and PK's status comes after the exes attended a couples therapy session on RHOBH. It was there that PK made the divorce declaration, which Dorit described as a dagger in the heart on the after show. Why does PK want to divorce Dorit Kemsley? Dorit shed new light on what PK said about getting a divorce during the RHOBH after show. It wasn't like a sensible, "Okay, listen, Dorit, I'll have reached a point in our marriage where I want a divorce," she explained, noting that instead, she got more of a heat of the moment, and "this is why I want a divorce" comment from the Brit. You don't know if it's reactionary. What's worse? Dorit said that conversation was the first asterisk, potentially real asterisk mention of divorce between them. It's like, wait a minute, that is the first time you've said it. Now, these are serious words. I'm entitled to know your feelings, you owe me that. And then even from that, there was no, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I'm thinking. So then, it's like, I don't understand. Am I preparing for a divorce? Am I not? It's such a mind, she explained. It was especially hard, according to the fashionista, because they'd previously had peaceful conversations after a fight where, despite what was said in the heat of the moment, divorce didn't seem to be on the table. How are you supposed to know if it's the real one or not? It's like crying wolf, Bozoma St. John chimed in. And then you think about, how do I react? Added Dorit. If I react and I start going and I file for divorce and I start that train, or if I don't, any which way, I don't like that aspect. It's hard. It's toxic. Dorit Kemsley sat in her favorite corner of the house, a chic yet cozy nook overlooking the meticulously manicured garden. A steaming cup of tea rested on the side table, untouched, as her mind churned over PK's words from the couple's therapy session. The dagger still lingered, metaphorically embedded in her heart. I want a divorce. The words played on a loop, echoing louder each time. She had replayed the session in her head 100 times, searching for context, clarity, or perhaps some sliver of hope. But all she found was confusion. The mansion was unusually quiet. Their children, Jagger and Phoenix, were at a playdate, and the absence of their laughter made the house feel cavernous. Even the usual buzz of staff moving through the rooms seemed to have vanished. She sighed deeply and picked up her phone. Scrolling through her texts, she found the one she had sent PK after therapy. We need to talk when you're ready. Love you. The message was marked as read, but remained unanswered. Chapter 1. Fractures Beneath the Surface. Dorit couldn't pinpoint the exact moment when things had begun to unravel. Their marriage had always been full of highs and lows, like any other, but the lows had deepened recently. PK's sobriety journey was both a blessing and a curse. She admired his strength for facing his demons, but it also stripped away the buffer that alcohol had provided for years. Now, the rawness of his emotions was on full display and often directed at her. "You've been through so much," Lisa Rinna had said during a recent lunch. "But honey, you can't do all the work alone." Dorit had nodded silently, swirling her glass of sparkling water, wishing it were a stronger drink. Rinna was right, but it didn't make the reality any easier. Chapter 2: The Therapy Bombshell. The couple's therapy session that had led to PK's declaration felt like a turning point. Dorit had been cautiously optimistic when they entered the therapist's office, hoping that professional guidance might steer them back onto the same path. Instead, it had felt like stepping onto a battlefield. "I feel like you're always criticizing me," PK had said, his voice tense. "Like nothing I do is ever good enough for you." "That's not true, PK," Dorit had replied, her own frustration bubbling to the surface. "I just want us to communicate better. I'm not attacking you." The back and forth had escalated until PK's breaking point. "Maybe what we need is a divorce," he had snapped. The room had gone silent, the therapist looking between them with practiced neutrality. Dorit had felt like the ground had fallen out from under her. "Do you mean that, PK?" the therapist had asked gently. PK had shrugged, avoiding eye contact. "I don't know, maybe." For Dorit, it wasn't just the words that hurt, it was the uncertainty. The man she had built a life with, the father of her children, was talking about ending it all as if it were a casual decision. Chapter 3: Searching for Answers. The days following the therapy session were a blur of conflicting emotions. PK seemed distant yet present, hovering around the house but rarely engaging in meaningful conversation. Dorit found herself walking on eggshells, unsure of how to approach him without triggering another outburst. One evening, as they sat in the living room after the kids had gone to bed, Dorit decided to address the elephant in the room. "PK," she began cautiously, "we need to talk about what you said in therapy." He looked up from his phone, his face unreadable. "What about it?" "What do you mean, what about it? You said you wanted a divorce," Dorit said, her voice trembling. "Do you have any idea how much that hurt me?" PK sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I didn't mean it like that. I was frustrated, angry. You know how I get when I'm overwhelmed." "But you don't just throw out the word divorce like it's nothing," Dorit pressed. "Do you really want this to end, or was it just, in the heat of the moment?" "I don't know, Dorit," he admitted, his tone softer. "I'm trying to figure things out. Sobriety is. It's harder than I thought. I feel like I'm drowning in emotions I've ignored for years." Dorit's heart ached at his vulnerability, but it also left her feeling helpless. She couldn't force him to heal or to fight for their marriage. That had to come from him. Chapter 4: A Glimmer of Hope. As the weeks passed, Dorit and PK agreed to continue therapy, both individually and as a couple. While progress was slow, there were moments of connection that reminded Dorit of why she had fallen in love with PK in the first place. One evening, after a particularly honest session, PK surprised her by suggesting a date night. "Let's get out of the house," he said. "Just the two of us. No cameras, no distractions." Dorit hesitated. Their last few outings together had been tense, but she decided to take the olive branch. They ended up at a quiet Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills, a far cry from the glamorous hotspots they usually frequented. Over candlelight and plates of pasta, they talked not about their problems, but about their dreams, their kids, and the memories that had built their life together. For a brief moment, it felt like old times. Chapter 5: The Breaking Point. But the respite was short-lived. One afternoon, Dorit discovered an email on PK's laptop, a message to his therapist that mentioned the possibility of a trial separation. Her hands shook as she read the words. She felt a wave of betrayal, even though she knew it wasn't entirely fair. PK was entitled to his thoughts and feelings, but the lack of transparency stung. When PK came home that evening, Dorit confronted him. Why didn't you tell me you were considering a separation? She demanded, holding back tears. P looked startled, then frustrated. You read my emails. Don't turn this around on me, Dorit shot back. I deserve to know what you're thinking. I'm thinking that I'm tired, Dorit, PK said, his voice rising. I'm tired of feeling like I'm failing you, failing the kids, failing myself. I don't know how to fix this. Then let me help you, Dorit pleaded. We're supposed to be a team. I don't know if I can be part of a team right now, PK admitted. I'm barely holding myself together. Chapter 6, The Crossroads. Dorit spent the next few days grappling with PK's words. She sought solace in her friends, pouring her heart out to Kyle Richards during a lunch at her Encino home. You have to decide what you want, Dorit, Kyle said gently. If you want to fight for your marriage, fight. But if you're tired, it's okay to walk away. Dorit nodded, but the decision felt impossible. She loved PK, but she also needed to protect herself and her children from the emotional turmoil that had consumed their home. In therapy, she voiced her fears. I don't want to give up on us, she told the therapist, but I also can't keep living in this limbo. PK listened quietly, his expression unreadable. When it was his turn to speak, he surprised Dorit. I don't want to lose you, he said, his voice breaking. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this work. Chapter 7, Rebuilding. The road to healing was not easy. PK's sobriety journey continued to bring challenges, and Dorit had to confront her own feelings of resentment and hurt. But slowly, they began to rebuild their relationship. They set boundaries, communicated more openly, and prioritized their family above all else. The process was messy and imperfect, but it was also filled with moments of hope and love. Epilogue. 6 months later, Dorit and PK sat together in their backyard, watching Jagger and Phoenix play in the pool. The tension that had once defined their relationship had eased, replaced by a cautious but genuine sense of partnership. We've come a long way, PK said, reaching for Dorit's hand. We have, Dorit agreed, squeezing his hand, and I'm proud of us. Though the future remained uncertain, one thing was clear, they were stronger together. And for now, that was enough. Come back to Briefing on Bravo and see more news.